Hi, I'm Ayla with True Systems, and today we're going to be looking at the 2 types of INFPs. People have really been liking my INTJ video, and there's been some requests to have some more Myers-Briggs and Enneagram crossover videos, and so that's what we're going to be looking at today, the 2 different types of INFPs. INFPs are often misunderstood. And that has to do with the fact that they're really quite rare, and also that people may not fully understand what's going on inside of an INFP. But it also has to do with the fact that there are 2 different types of INFPs. So what exactly is an INFP in the Myers-Briggs? I stands for introvert. That means needing to have time away from people in order to gain energy. N for intuitive. This is that they have big ideas, they think of the big picture first, how things all connect. F for feeling. This is when they make a decision, they look into how they feel about something and how others feel about it as well. And P for wanting to not have a plan and needing things to be more open-ended so they don't feel constrained. So there are 2 main Enneagram types that tend to be INFPs, and that's 4, the individualists, and 9, the peacemakers. So we're going to be looking at how are INFPs described and talked about, and what are their traits, and do they fit more into 4 traits or more into 9 traits? And by doing this, we can help to resolve that whole where you're reading about it and it's like, oh yeah, this is so me, I so get this, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I don't do that. So one of the main traits that gets described for INFPs is that they have an unwavering sense of compromise and that they're interested in group harmony. But they also get described as being super interested in authenticity and that they'd rather be true to themselves and not go along with the group. So which one is right? Well, the answer is both, because INFPs are seen doing both of these very opposite traits in many ways. The first one, of really being interested in harmony, of going along and getting along, is more of a 9 trait versus being really concerned with authenticity, which is more of a 4 trait. 9s are motivated by a desire to keep the peace. They want to stay in harmony with others and to avoid conflict. And so it makes sense that INFP 9s are going to be more concerned with group harmony and with going along with everyone else and trying to have everyone get along together versus asserting that they're different in some way to other people. 4s, on the other hand, are really concerned with wanting to explore who they are and what is truly authentic to them. They're motivated by wanting to be seen as special and different. And so it makes sense that INFP 4s are generally more independent and interested in showing that authenticity. So for example, a 9 is trying to look for ways to better connect with people. And so if somebody is bringing up a movie that they saw that they really liked and everyone's going on and on about that movie, maybe it's The Little Mermaid, and the 9 maybe hasn't seen it, they might not say that they haven't, they might just go along and yeah, it was nice, it was good, or kind of, nod and be kind of not making a big deal about that, or maybe they didn't like the movie, they're not going to necessarily say that. Whereas a 4 has an almost instinctual reaction, revulsion to what everyone else likes and whatever is popular, and they're going to want to show that they're not interested in the movie just because everyone else liked it. Another way that INFPs get described is that they are amazingly attuned to their own thoughts and feelings, and that this makes them exceptionally empathetic. Both INFP 4s and 9s are highly empathetic, but it comes from a really different place. 4s are really in touch with how they're feeling. They know exactly what is going on inside of them because they spend a lot of time processing those emotions, and it helps them to be empathetic towards other people who are going through hard emotions as well. 9s, on the other hand, struggle with knowing what they're feeling and thinking about something. They're so good at merging with other people to be empathetic with them in order to understand them, but they sometimes lose track of how they feel about something. 9s can struggle with knowing how they're feeling about something because they're trying to keep the peace internally as well as externally. And so if they're going deep down into their feelings about things, sometimes those feelings might contain anger, and then you aren't feeling peaceful any longer. Which brings me to another classic INFP trait that gets described, and that is that they are eternal optimists that try to make things better even when there's dark and sad information. But INFPs also get described as feeling like things are always falling short of their ideals, and that can make them feel pessimistic about things. So let's break this apart. The first example of being an eternal optimist, well, a lot of times that can go with nines. Nines are in the positive outlook triad along with twos and sevens, and this idea that if there's a conflict or something bad going on, well, the best thing to do is to pretend it's not happening. INFPs sometimes get described as having rose-colored glasses and being naive, and in some cases, this can be describing that positive outlook framework that nines tend to have. They do that because they don't want to have to feel the conflict that's maybe going on inside of them or around them, and this is a way to make sure that they are protected from that. Fours, on the other hand, are more drawn to seeing what is missing in the world and also what's really being felt in the moment. And sometimes that's feelings of disappointment, of loss, of feeling like there's more out there that can be found, and why am I not experiencing that right now, and the longing for that. Because of this, INFP 4s can be drawn to things that are more dark and avant-garde, things that are more full of mystery. INFP 4s can also be optimistic a lot of times. They're also dreamers. It's just that they might experience the letdown more of when things don't match up to their ideal that they're hoping for. 4s are often described as being part of the utopian triad along with 7s and 1s, and that is that they're wanting to have the world be something else than what it is and longing for it to be that way, and then feeling disappointment when it doesn't happen. And sometimes that can be even in a cycle of feeling optimistic and then disappointed. So for example, in the context of a relationship, both 9s and 4s will idealize their partners. For 9s, it's because they're putting those rose-colored glasses on and they're just filtering out the things that aren't good and looking for the things that are good in their partner. Whereas 4s are creating an idealized version, a whole story of who the person is, and not noticing the red flags that are coming up because of that story. And then when the person doesn't match that idea, they're disappointed and feel let down. So one thing that INFP 4s and INFP 9s have in common is the feeling of being misunderstood. But it's in entirely different ways. 4s feel misunderstood when their identity isn't affirmed, when people don't see them for who they truly are. This can be things like when their feelings are misunderstood by people, feeling like a misfit. Basically, they can feel misunderstood for being different. 9s, on the other hand, can feel misunderstood because they are being overlooked. They sometimes feel that they're not important enough to have a voice or to share an opinion. They want people to acknowledge them and they want to be heard, but they often don't feel comfortable asserting themselves. And since group harmony is so important to 9s, they worry that if they assert themselves, it will separate them from the group. Because of this, it can be hard for 9s to make their voice heard, and therefore they feel misunderstood. So people use the same word to describe two different feelings, really. Another trait that INFPs get described as having is being passionate with their emotions, that they're led by their convictions and that they have strong feelings. This is true of many INFPs, but it's specifically a 4 trait. 4s are very in touch with their feelings and they focus on their internal emotions often. So INFP 4s are going to have an easier time saying when they feel strongly about something, when something is important to them, and when it's really true to them. At the same time, INFPs are often described as being even-tempered and always composed. This is more of a 9 trait since 9s are wanting to be calm and stay calm. They don't want people to take their chill from them. INFPs are often described as being shy, And this is true of both 4s and 9s. 4s and 9s, along with 5s, are in the withdrawing triad. So in order to have their needs met, they need to withdraw from other people. Because of this, both 4s and 9s can be shy, but for different reasons. For 4s, it comes from a strong sense of identity and wanting to be affirmed in that identity, but then being worried that they won't be and feeling self-conscious about it. 9s, on the other hand, are often shy because they don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. They might avoid a negative idea or a differing opinion in order to make people feel more included and more at peace. They want to prevent discomfort and conflict. 4s see value in their differing opinion, and so they adapt less to people around them. Whereas 9s find an easier time adapting to others in order to harmonize with them. Both INFP 4s and 9s have deep feelings, and they both spend time exploring and processing those feelings. But they do that in different ways. INFP 4s want to experience more intensity from those deep feelings. They don't shy away from things like loss and sadness, and they don't try to minimize it either. In fact, sometimes melancholy can feel kind of good to 4s because that's where truth is, and they're interested in being true and real. So for example, a 4 might be trying to intensify a feeling, like they might start looking through a photo album to see what it all was like and remembering that and really feeling it again. Or driving around to a place where they used to go with a lost love, maybe putting on the right music in order to feel that all again and remember it all more intensely. Things like writing in a journal in order to process those emotions again. 9s can feel deep sadness as well. They often experience this sadness when they've found that they've been diminishing themselves for other people and then feel frustrated that they've been doing that and sad about it. But because of their strong desire to feel at peace, they tend to numb that sadness and blend it out and smooth it out in order to feel better. So while they also go very deep into their feelings, like INFP 4s, they tend to want to pull out of it and see the bright side of things in order to not have to stay in that melancholy. 9s are searching for balance, and so sometimes intensity can make you not feel balanced, and so they tend to shy away from that. So for example, a 9 might try to numb those feelings that are hard to deal with by doing things that they're used to or like and that they know make them feel better. You know, baking an entire batch of cookies, going into the garden and digging in the earth for a while, binging on an entire season of a show that they like, bubble baths, things to try to help them feel better. So are all INFPs 4s or 9s? No. So what are other Enneagram types that could potentially be INFPs? Sometimes 2s type as INFPs, but in general, 2s tend to be extroverts, and that's because they need to move towards people in order to help them and be needed. 6s also can type as INFPs, though again, not as highly as 4s and 9s. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please press that like button. It lets me know what you want to see more of. And INFPs, I can't wait to hear from you. There's been so many amazing comments in the comment section. I'd love to know what you related to, what you didn't, what did I get right, what did I get wrong, and what are some examples of what it's like to be an INFP that's a 4 or an INFP that's a 9. I learned so much from all of you. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.